If you're battling inflammation, joint pain, nagging gut issues, persistent fatigue, you've probably adjusted your diet, added turmeric or ginger, eaten more greens, but what if I told you, some vegetables you think are helping may in fact be worsening your inflammation? In this video, you'll discover 3 common vegetables that, under certain conditions, can do more harm than good. You'll also learn why and how to avoid them, or how to prepare them so they don't blow up your system. Stay until the end, because I'll unveil a simple swap that keeps your vegetable serving safe and even anti-inflammatory. Let me warn you, once you know this, you'll never look at your salad the same way again. Let's dive in. First, let's set the stage. Inflammation is not just swelling or pain, it's a complex cascade of immune responses, oxidative stress, and cellular signaling gone awry. Inflammation is linked to arthritis, cardiovascular disease, insulin resistance, neurodegeneration, and even mood disorders. Many people assume that all vegetables are benign, even healing, but that's a dangerous oversimplification, especially if your gut barrier is leaky, your mitochondria are stressed, or your immune system is hypersensitized. When you eat certain compounds, alkaloids, lectins, histamines, or sulfites, they may provoke immune activation, gut irritation, or oxidative stress. In someone with a sensitive system, those healthy veggies can tip the balance from calm to flare. Maybe you wake up stiff, ache in your joints, or get bloated after dinner. You've tried cutting sugar, you've done the clean eating challenge, but something still doesn't add up. You see, I've worked with hundreds of clients just like you, 20-somethings who assume kale was harmless, 40-somethings eating nightshades on a daily basis. And time after time, when we eliminated or modified these specific vegetables, inflammation markers dropped, pain eased, gut symptoms improved. You might feel overwhelmed, anxious, maybe even betrayed by foods you thought were safe. But don't panic. Knowledge is power. Let's get you ahead of the curve. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Wait, are you banning vegetables now? Are you crazy? Bear with me. The science holds up. The first group to watch, nightshades, that family containing tomatoes, eggplant, bell peppers, potatoes. They are ubiquitous in our diets, from pizza to salsa to roasted veggie bowls. Why are nightshades problematic? They contain alkaloids like solanine, tomatine, capsaicin, and lectines in peel and seeds, which in susceptible individuals can irritate the gut, trigger immune responses, and increase intestinal permeability. In someone with a somewhat leaky gut or chronic immune activation, those compounds may act like toxins. They can stimulate pro-inflammatory cytokines like TNF-alpha, IL-1 beta, and IL-6. In one study, soluble tomato lectins were shown to bind to intestinal receptors, promoting immune activation in sensitive individuals. That said, not everyone reacts. Some people tolerate small, well-prepared amounts, but here's the kicker. You might be already eating these nightly. Pasta sauce, salsa, roasted potatoes, feeding the fire without noticing. Cliffhanger. We'll soon learn a trick to reintroduce them safely. But first, let's see the next offenders. Second on the list, raw, cruciferous vegetables. Maybe your go-to for a raw salad, smoothie, or side dish. Broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts. You might think, these are always good. But when your gut is irritated, raw crucifers can be a double-edged sword. These veggies contain glucosinolates and goitrogens, which in high amounts can interfere with thyroid function and oxidant balance. More importantly, they're rich in indole and sulforaphane precursors that produce sulfur gases and hydrogen sulfide in the colon, especially when the microbiome is imbalanced. That can irritate gut lining, feed dysbiotic bacteria, and escalate inflammation. Worse, the rough fiber matrix and cell walls in raw form can physically scratch or irritate sensitive gut linings, especially in people with microtears or IBS. People often say, but I eat broccoli every day. How could this hurt me? Well, context is everything. And it may not be the broccoli itself that's bad, but how and when you eat it. By the way, yes, kale and arugula are generally better tolerated, but dose and prep matter. More on that later. Third, and surprisingly potent alliums. Onion, garlic, leeks, shallots, chives. These are kitchen staples, flavor powerhouses. But for some, they're inflammation triggers in disguise. Alliums are high in fructans, a type of fermentable carbohydrate, or FODMAP. That can be a major irritant for people with small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, IBS, or gut dysbiosis. In those cases, they ferment quickly, create gas, dysbiosis, and immune activation. Additionally, raw garlic and onion contain sulfur compounds like allicin, which can be irritating to some gut mucosa, especially if your mucus layer is thin or damaged. Imagine you already have gut inflammation or a sensitive colon. Toss in a hefty dose of raw garlic or onion in salsa, raw salad or vinaigrette, and you could be lighting a fuse. But wait, before you swear off onions forever, there is a safe threshold and preparation technique, and we'll cover that soon. First, let's take a breath. 1B, and dine, and then I'll reveal 2 bonus vegetables you probably didn't expect. By the way, if you're screaming, boy, no garlic, but that's half the flavor. Hang on, I'm not asking you to live on bland food. I'm asking you to know how and when to eat smart. Because I like to surprise you, here are 2 bonus vegetables that slip under the radar. Spinach and beet greens in people prone to kidney stress. Oxalate load can be an issue. In those with immune sensitivity, nitrates and nitrites can form reactive species under certain gut bacteria conditions. High oxalate intake can inflame epithelial tissues, and reactive nitrogen species can propagate oxidative stress. Mushrooms, well, some species, and sea vegetables like certain seaweeds, while not vegetables in the strict sense, can contain polysaccharides or iodine levels that may provoke immune responses in sensitive individuals. For example, certain lectins or fungal polysaccharides can stimulate macrophage responses. In some autoimmune protocols, mushrooms are temporarily avoided for this reason. They're less common choices, but if you're experimenting with carnivore, low oxalate, or autoimmune diets, these may matter. Now, you've got 5 categories: nightshades, raw crucifers, alliums, spinach and greens, mushrooms and sea vegetables, to watch. But the story's not over. Knowing why is just part. You need how to adapt. Let's go into solutions. At this point, you're probably thinking, okay, so I just cut all these out. Well, that's one path, but honestly, blanket avoidance isn't always necessary or sustainable, especially when you want flavor, nutrition, and variety. In the next section, you'll discover 3 strategies to safely eat or reintroduce these vegetables, plus 1 powerful swap that gives you fiber, nutrients, and peace of mind. And yes, it's zero compromise, but only if you follow the rules. Stick around, because missing even one of these strategies could set you back weeks in your inflammation reversal journey. First, the classical, but essential approach: eliminate the suspect veggies for a trial period, typically 4 to 8 weeks, track symptoms, pain, gut reactions, fatigue, and sleep. After that window, reintroduce slowly, 1 vegetable, 1 serving, every 3 to 5 days. Observe reactions: swelling, bloating, brain fog, joint pain. If there's no reaction, continue. If there is, then that veggie may be a long-term offender for you. This process gives you personalized data. No guesswork, no dogma. Second, how you prepare these vegetables can make all the difference. Peeling and de-seeding reduces lectin and alkaloid load, especially in nightshades. Soaking or blanching before cooking reduces water-soluble irritants. Pressure cooking or slow cooking can break down tough fibers, reduce sulfur compounds, and neutralize goitrogens. Fermentation or sprouting for some crucifers helps pre-digest and neutralize problematic compounds. For example, that nightshade salsa, trim seeds and skins. That cauliflower or broccoli, steam or lightly roast instead of eating raw. That onion in your sauce, cook it long and slow rather than tossing raw in dressings. These tweaks don't eliminate benefit. They preserve flavor and nutrients while dialing down the inflammatory triggers. Third, and perhaps most critical, you must brace your gut so it can handle plant compounds without overreacting. You do this via prebiotic, low FODMAP fibers like partially hydrolyzed guar gum or acacia fiber in controlled doses. Also, probiotics, specifically strains shown to support barrier repair, like Lactobacillus rhamnosus and Bifidobacterium infantis. Add in butyrate precursors such as resistant starch, collagen, or even direct butyrate supplementation where that's safe. Don't forget mucosal healing nutrients like glutamine, zinc, vitamin D, collagen peptides, and L-threonine. And of course, polyphenol support from things like berries, herbs, and spices, which help with oxidative stress. When your microbiome is balanced, inflammation is reduced, and your system is way more tolerant of plant compounds. One client of mine, after adding microbiome repair protocols, was able to reintroduce roasted tomatoes without any issues. Where before, even a small amount would flare her gut. That's the power of a resilient internal ecosystem. Now for the game-changer swap I promised. Instead of reaching for a nightshade or raw crucifer, I often recommend cooked winter squash, like butternut or acorn, cooked zucchini, or cooked carrots as your go-to when you want that veggie fiber without the risk. These are lower in lectins and less likely to provoke immune activation when properly cooked. You can season them with safe herbs, roast them, or blend them into soups. They really become your safe fallback vegetables during your inflammation reset phase. Once your gut is healed, you can experiment, with great caution, with the more challenging veggies. So, we've now covered a lot of ground here. First, which vegetables to watch out for, like nightshades, raw crucifers, alliums, oxalate greens, and even mushrooms or sea veggies. Second, why they can cause trouble in the first place. Think alkaloids, lectins, sulfur compounds, fermentable sugars, and those tricky polysaccharides. Third, how to actually approach them safely, whether that's through elimination and reintroduction, smart prep methods, or supporting your microbiome. And of course, I gave you a backup swap that delivers safety, fiber, and solid nutrition. Yeah, I get it, this may seem restrictive, but remember, it's just temporary and diagnostic. Every single step you take actually reduces the underlying fire, instead of just masking symptoms. That means fewer aches, clearer digestion, more energy, better sleep, and long-term, a body that's able to handle a much wider variety of plants again. Here's a little pro tip. When you get through the elimination diet, you'll probably become suspicious of everything. Even kale might start to feel like a suspect. Don't worry, that's totally normal. Before we wrap up, here's something that almost nobody realizes. Inflammation from vegetables doesn't always show up as pain or bloating. One really silent symptom is brain fog or mood swings. And honestly, a lot of folks have traced those right back to nightshade reactions, or a sulfur load from crucifers. So, if you've ever felt kind of fuzzy-headed after dinner, or maybe jittery or even irritated, stick around for the final recap. I'll tell you exactly how to spot those subtle symptoms, and how to adjust your food radar accordingly. Let me distill everything down into your go-to checklist. First, avoid or reduce high-risk vegetables, especially while your gut is in healing mode. Use elimination and reintroduction to really personalize what you can tolerate. Prepare your veggies wisely. Peel, soak, cook, or even pressure cook them. Prioritize gut repair and microbiome support. Use safe swaps like cooked squash, zucchini, or carrots as your fallback. And, importantly, watch not only for the obvious symptoms like pain or bloating, but also the subtle ones like brain fog, mood changes, or fatigue. If you really commit to this roadmap for 8 to 12 weeks, a lot of people see dramatic improvements. Think reduced joint pain, better digestion, clearer skin, better sleep, and just more energy overall. If this video opened your eyes, I'd love for you to do two things right now. First, download the free checklist I created. There's a link in the description. It's called the Safe Veggie Guide for Inflammation, so you'll know exactly what to do, day to day. Second, subscribe and hit the bell. I'll be putting out more deep dives and case studies to help you navigate challenging diets without losing your mind. And hey, leave a comment. Which of these vegetables shocked you the most? Or, have you ever felt a flare after eating tomatoes, broccoli, or garlic? I really want to hear your story. Remember, this isn't about eliminating all plants forever. It's about retraining your immune system, calming the fire, and eventually reintroducing variety safely. Your body is absolutely capable of healing, and sometimes, it just needs you to stop feeding the flames. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video where we'll explore exactly when and how much you can safely bring back nightshades. Until then, eat smart, heal better, and stay curious.